I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sorry for inconvenience. We'll start with the topic hyperlipidemia, and just a quick introduction of mine before starting this. I'm Preeti Rai. I have been associated with PharmaCAD since almost 3 years, and I also work in CIPLA in medical affairs team. So with this, I will start the topic hyperlipidemia. We have done all the topics related to cardiovascular system, right? Now, this is the last part of cardiovascular system, which is not relevant to the rest of the topics which we have done in cardiovascular system, but this is also somewhere related to cardiovascular system. How that we will see in the pathophysiology. Okay. If in case you have any doubt at any moment, you can put in the chat box or else you can unmute and ask at any. Okay. Okay. So, uh, starting with the lipids, plasma lipids. What are these lipids and what are the levels which are required that we will see. Majority, so first of all, whenever we say hyperlipidemia or hyperlipoproteinemia, we always talk about lipids, that lipid level is high in the blood. But which lipids? There are different types of lipids, and which lipid level is high and is not good for health. So all these things we will see. Difference in different types of lipids, how they are present in the body, how they are transported, and which one is harmful for the body. Okay. So majority of the lipids found in the bloodstream are these: cholesterol, cholesterol esters, triglycerides, and phospholipids. These four are the most important ones. Okay. Now, whenever level of these four lipids are increased, it is called hyperlipidemia. Okay, it is called hyperlipidemia. Here. So these are the four lipids, and high level of lipids is hyperlipidemia. Now there is another term called hyperlipoproteinemia. So what is that? That since these are lipids, they will definitely not be soluble in aqueous solution or at a physiological, conditions of our blood. It won't be in soluble form, cholesterol and all these lipids. So generally, a system is required. Some other proteins or lipoproteins are required to transport these lipids. Okay. Now these lipoproteins together with these lipids, cholesterol and triglyceride phospholipids, all these together is known as uh, so all these together is known as lipoproteins. I'll show the structure in subsequent slide. So lipids, which are not soluble in aqueous solution, that's why some proteins are required to bind on this and transport in the blood. Now together, this lipid and protein is known as lipoproteins. And whenever the level of lipoproteins are high, the term is known as hyperlipoproteinemia. So we have seen hyperlipidemia, where these are high, lipids are high. We have seen hyperlipoproteinemia, where lipids plus protein, which are the proteins which are carrying them, both are high. Okay. Now they are not good for the body because they are strongly associated with atherosclerotic lesions and coronary heart disease. How? That we will see in the pathophysiology. So this is a basic understanding to go ahead. What are lipids and what are proteins and why they are required. Okay. Now going ahead to first lipid, that is cholesterol. This is the most important component of cell membrane. You all must be knowing, right? The bilayer cell membrane, they are made up of cholesterol and phospholipids. Apart from this, these are the precursor. Cholesterol is the precursor for androgen, estrogen, progesterone, adrenocorticoids, and vitamin D. So you will study in steroids chapter how from cholesterol all these steroids are synthesized. Okay, the whole synthesis pathway is there. As of now, just remember that this is the precursor. Cholesterol is precursor for all. Uh, it is synthesized, cholesterol is synthesized from acetyl coenzyme A through mevalonic acid pathway. So you can see this synthesis here. I'm not going in depth to medicinal chemistry, that will be covered by Suraj sir later. But right now I'm just showing you how from acetyl coenzyme A cholesterol is synthesized, right? There is a whole pathway, series of steps. In this, the most important enzyme is HMG coenzyme A, reductase enzyme. Okay, hydroxymethylglutarate coenzyme A, uh, reductase enzyme. Now, this enzyme is important. Why? Because the drugs are targeting this enzyme. So that's why I have highlighted this enzyme. Okay. So just remember that cholesterol is synthesized from acetyl coenzyme A, and most important enzyme in this synthesis is HMG coenzyme A reductase. Now, after synthesis of cholesterol, what happens to cholesterol? This synthesis is happening where? In the liver. Okay. Now, after the synthesis in the liver, what happens to cholesterol? Cholesterol is converted into bile acid. I hope you all know about bile acid, right? Now, this conversion is happening in presence of enzyme 7-alpha hydroxylase. So, cholesterol is converted into bile acid. Bile acid. One question: what is the function of bile acid? Anyone? What is the function of bile acid?
Removal of waste, metabolic waste.
Okay, one role is that it removes or it helps in excretion of many metabolic waste. Devashish has said emulsification of lipids. So that is also one most important function of bile acids. So whatever lipid content we eat through diet, that cannot be transported or absorbed in the blood directly. Why? Because they are lipid. They are not soluble in aqueous solution. So these bile acids act as surfactant, and they help in transportation of those lipids which have entered in the GIT through diet. So this acts as emulsificant or surfactant, or you can say carrier for lipid content of the diet. Now, this bile acid is synthesized from what? From cholesterol. So that is again one role of cholesterol. Uh, bile. Now here is something about bile acid. We don't need to go in depth. It's just that in the liver, bile acid is synthesized from cholesterol, and then it is stored in the gallbladder. From liver, it is synthesized, it is stored in the gallbladder, and from gallbladder, it is released in the stomach whenever there is lipid ingestion. Lipid is eaten in the food, then this bile acid will be released in the gastrointestinal. It emulsifies the dietary lipids and helps in their absorption. Now, most of these bile acid or salts, they are reabsorbed through hepatic circulation. Okay, and they go back to the liver after doing its function, its transportation of lipid. They go back to the liver, and that's how they are continuously circulating in the from GIT to the liver. After going back in the liver, they exert a negative feedback control on, that is they send a negative message to 7 alpha hydroxylase enzyme. Okay. What was the role of 7 alpha hydroxylase enzyme? What was role of 7 alpha hydroxylase enzyme?
Addition of
Con-
hydroxyl group on cholesterol.
Okay, it converts the cholesterol into bile acid, right? So bile acid through some definitely chemical changes, structure changes. Now, when this bile acid goes back in the liver, it says that okay, levels are high, so it gives negative message to this enzyme 7 alpha hydroxylase, and that's why synthesis of bile acid or salts will be less. Okay, that conversion from cholesterol to bile salts will be inhibited. So that's how this all cholesterol and bile acid conversion is functioning. Okay, so this was all about cholesterol. They are present in the body, how they are present, in which form they are present, how they are synthesized, and then how they are converted into bile acid and what are their roles as a precursor for other steroids, and it also gets converted into bile salts. Now, any queries in cholesterol? Okay, assuming there is no query, I'll go ahead to the next lipid. Before that, this is one MCQ. Bile acid conjugates most commonly with glycine, taurine, arginine, sulfate. Okay, someone mentioned taurine. Anyone else? What does it mean? I'll just show you this here. Can you see? This is cholic acid, a type of bile acid. Okay. Now, if you see, uh, this cholic acid is getting converted into glycoholate, okay, which is a bile salt. So, acid is getting converted into salt. Now, which bile acid conjugates most commonly? Uh, Bile acid conjugates most commonly with which of these following to form the salt? So the answer is glycine. Most of you have mentioned taurine, but taurine is the not most common one. Okay, see, the glycine conjugation is approximately 75%, whereas taurine is 24%. If it is glycine would have not been there, and then question would have been bile acid conjugates with which of these following, uh, and there is no glycine option, then taurine would be right. But here, since glycine is there and most commonly is asked, then the answer will be glycine. Okay, going ahead, cholesterol is precursor for all of the following except progesterone, squalene, adrenocorticoids, vitamin D.
Squalene.
Squalene.
Okay, so a few students are mentioning, okay, most of you all are mentioning squalene. Yes, so why? Because cholesterol is precursor for rest of these three, but squalene is actually precursor of cholesterol. It is coming in the biosynthesis of cholesterol. Okay. Which of the following is true? Bile acid refer to ionized form, bile salt refer to unionized form. At intestinal pH values, both compounds would exist almost exclusively in their unionized form. At physiologic pH values, both compounds will exist almost exclusively in their ionized form. What would be the answer? Okay, someone mentioned D, someone mentioned C. Anyone else? Okay. So there is most of the answers are between C and D. So the answer is actually D. If you see, uh, yeah, what is written in C, both compounds will exist almost. Both compounds, yeah, both compounds would exist almost exclusively in their unionized form. Okay, but no, that's not the case. They are in ionized form. Bile acids are in their ionized form, and that's why they are able to bind to these lipids and carry for transportation. Okay, so the correct statement will be D. They exist almost in their ionized. And please understand the difference between these two terms. This is just for your understanding. Bile acid and bile salt. These are the two terms. When we say bile acid, it refers to unionized form. And when we say bile salt, it refers to ionized form. And at physiologic pH, generally it is present in ionized form. That is in bile salt. I hope this is clear till now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, going ahead. Just yeah. So now going ahead. Okay. So just understand the difference between bile acid and bile salt. Okay. When we say bile acid, it refers to unionized form, and when we say bile salt, it refers to ionized form of the of this bile. Okay, and just imagine if when this bile salt is in ionized form, that is there is some charge, then they are able to carry the lipids, transport the lipid. Okay, they will cover the lipid and transport them when they are in ionized form. Okay, and at normal body pH and conditions, generally these bile things are in ionized form, that is in bile salt form. Is this clear, Rasika?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Going ahead to other lipids, that is triglycerides and phospholipids. Okay, one thing we have seen cholesterol, right? There is something else that we had seen on first slide, that was cholesterol esters. So these cholesterols can be esterified. Okay, free fatty acid chains will be attached through this esterification. So they will be known as cholesterol esters. That is the second type of lipid. Third and fourth are triglycerides and phospholipids. We know phospholipid is the part of cell membrane like cholesterol. What is role of triglyceride? They are highly the great source of energy. Triglyceride, after metabolism they give good energy, release energy. They are formed from glycerol 3-phosphate and acylated coenzyme A. So these are the precursors, glycerol group, and in that acylated coenzyme A is attached. They accumulate primarily in the cytosol of adipose cells, fat cells. Okay, they are primarily stored in adipose cells. Whenever required for energy production, they are hydrolyzed by enzyme called lipase, and because of this hydrolyzation, what will happen? The free fatty acid chain will be released from the glycerol structure. So this metabolism will be covered in medicinal chemistry, but just understanding how triglyceride is metabolizing and releasing energy. So glycerol and then free fatty acid chains are attached to this glycerol group. Now the free fatty acid chains are released, broken down from main parent chain by enzyme called lipase, and then further metabolism takes place through different stages like beta oxidation, citric acid cycle, and oxidative phosphorylation. All these steps take place, and finally the energy is released. So via these steps, triglycerides are releasing energy. They act as source of energy. Next lipid, last lipid is phospholipid. So they are amphibitic compounds and used to make cell membrane. They are part of cell membrane. So why amphibitic? Because they are hydrophilic also and lipophilic also. Okay. They generate second messenger and store fatty acids for use in the generation of prostaglandins. So this will be, I don't know, it is relevant, not really relevant to hyperlipoproteinemia, but when you will study inflammation or pain management, in that this may be useful. Phospholipids are part of cell membrane. Whenever there is tissue injury, cell injury, this membrane phospholipid will be broken down and the phospholipid is converted into prostaglandin, which is showing inflammation, which is causing inflammation, right? So this is the mechanism how phospholipid is causing a release of prostaglandin and then causing inflammation whenever there is tissue injury. They are synthesized from phosphatidate. This is a precursor for phospholipids. The name example of two most common phospholipids are phosphatidylcholine and phosphatidylinositol. So these were some of the lipids, the four important lipids. Now here is the structure of lipoprotein. If you remember what is lipoprotein, so all these lipids, cholesterol, triglyceride, phospholipids, they cannot be transported in the at physiologic pH in the blood. Why? Because they are lipid. That's why some proteins are required which cover these lipids and help in their transportation. So these together, this protein and lipids is called lipoprotein. In this image, you can see on the outer portion, there are phospholipid monolayer. In the central portion, there are the lipid part, triglycerides and cholesterol esters. Okay, there are some free cholesterols also in which fatty acid chains are not attached, which are called unesterified cholesterol. So both the types of cholesterol, free cholesterol and cholesterol esters and triglycerides and phospholipids, all these are together, joined together, and there are some protein layers on the outer side of this lipid sphere. So if you see these outer proteins, they are called apoproteins. Okay, these proteins are called apoproteins. Now, this was the structure. What is the role of these apoproteins that we will see in detail in next slide? Just one basic thing that apolipoproteins provide structural support and stability to this structure, lipid structure. They also help in binding to the cellular receptor. This we will understand how these proteins are helping in binding to the receptors and act as cofactor for enzymes. So this was the structure of lipoprotein. Yeah. Here are some lipoprotein examples. Now there are different names, chylomicrons. You must have heard these names, right? Chylomicrons, chylomicron remnants, VLDL, that is very low density lipoproteins, IDL, that is intermediate density lipoprotein, LDL, that is low density, and HDL, that is high density lipoprotein. Now if you see the composition, they all vary in composition. Okay, and chylomicrons, they are having highest levels of triglycerides, right? and VLDL, they are also having high level of triglycerides. So since VLDL is having high levels of triglycerides, uh, they are actually considered harmful for the body. How, what is the mechanism, that we will see in subsequent slide. But just, you don't need to remember these percentages, but just remember in which type of lipoprotein which content is maximum. Okay, that you can remember. Now going ahead to apolipoproteins, just you don't need to remember all these names. We will see in metabolism which apolipoproteins are important, and here are the functions, what these all lipoproteins are doing. So I'll come back to this once I'll explain the metabolism of lipoproteins. Here just see that these are the types of lipoproteins. Now, this is the just one image to show you size of all these lipoproteins. Okay, can you see the chylomicron? It is not even actually fitting in this graph. So chylomicrons are very large in size. They are almost 500 to 1000 nanometers in size. These are chylomicron remnants. What we mean by remnants, when chylomicron is broken down, okay, the fraction of chylomicron that is again larger in size. Then comes VLDL, then comes IDL, then comes LDL, and then comes HDL. When we say HDL, its size is very smallest, right? Why? What's the benefit? Density of something will be high when everything is compacted in small space, right? That's why when the size of this particle is small, all the lipids, they are actually in compact structure, and that's why the density of this lipoprotein will be maximum. So that's why they are called HDL, high density lipoprotein. Rest of the particles, they are larger in size because all these lipids are spread out and the density is low. You can remember the range. This range can be asked in MCQ, that HDL is generally between 5 to 10 nanometers. Then LDL is around 20 nanometers. IDL is more than that. So that you can remember. Okay. Now this is the most important part of this whole hyperlipoproteinemia. IDL is intermediate density lipoproteins. Okay. Before starting with this metabolism or transportation of lipids, are you all clear with 4 types of lipids and how they are combined in one lipoprotein and which types of lipoproteins are there? Are you all clear on these points? Okay. Assuming there is no more, this is clear till now, I'll go ahead to this lipid metabolism pathway. Now, listen this carefully, and if you don't understand, I'll repeat it. Now, the lipid transportation or metabolism is divided into 2 parts, okay? There is exogenous pathway and there is endogenous pathway. What we mean by exogenous pathway, in this, those lipids are involved which come from food, from diet source, okay? So the starting will be dietary lipid, which has entered in the gastrointestinal tract. Now, after entering in the gastrointestinal tract, they are converted into chylomicrons. Okay, they are converted into chylomicrons. How? How this conversion is happening? So this conversion is happening with the help of bile salts which were released, synthesized in the liver, stored in the gallbladder, and then finally released in the intestine whenever lipid was ingested, right? So with the help of bile, chylomicron is formed of all these lipids which came from food. Now this chylomicron is the largest lipoprotein. Now this chylomicron is going to the tissue Since this is a lipoprotein, it can be transported through blood. It is transported to the tissues. In the tissues, adipose tissues and muscle tissues, what happens? These the membrane, the tissue membrane, cell membrane, they contain this enzyme, lipoprotein lipase enzyme. Now this lipase enzyme break down chylomicron, okay, and they are divided into, since this has been broken down, free fatty acids are released, which enter in the cell for metabolism, and there is remnants, chylomicron remnants, that is a smaller fraction of chylomicron, okay. So these are two parts of chylomicron after breaking down by the lipase. ठीक है, chylomicron दो में डिवाइड हो गया, फ्री फैटी एसिड एंड chylomicron remnant. अभी ये जो remnant है, where these remnants are going, they are entering in the liver. Okay, remnants are entering in the liver. Now these remnants, if you remember, they are chylomicrons. Actually they are containing cholesterol, they are containing triglycerides, they are containing phospholipids. All these lipids are there, plus bile is there, right? Bile salt is there. So all these things have entered in the liver now through chylomicron remnant. So this is the exogenous pathway of lipid transportation or metabolism. So lipid, dietary lipid converted into chylomicron, which is broken down by lipase enzyme of the tissue. Now this is broken down into fatty acid and remnants. Remnants go back to the liver through blood, and in the liver now, what is happening to these chylomicron remnants, that we will see. Okay. So now here, whatever we will study next, that will be part of endogenous pathway. Okay. So what is happening now in endogenous pathway? The using these contents of chylomicron remnants, these contents are converted into VLDL, that is very low density lipoprotein. Okay. So VLDL has been synthesized. Now the VLDL will go to the through transportation, it will go to the tissue cell or tissue membrane. Okay. Now in the tissue membrane, which enzyme was present? Lipoprotein lipase enzyme. So it is breaking down VLDL also. The way it was breaking chylomicron, it will break down now VLDL. Okay. In the liver, VLDL is synthesized, released in the blood. Now from blood, it has gone to the tissue. In the tissue, there is some enzyme called lipase, lipoprotein lipase, which will break down this VLDL. So it will break down it into two parts. Which two parts? Free fatty acid, which is absorbed in the cell or transported to the cell for further metabolism. And the second part is intermediate density lipoprotein. Okay. So this free fatty acid is the culprit, which is lowering density of these lipoproteins. Okay, the more free fatty acid content, the more density will be lesser. Okay, high density HDL will be containing very low free fatty acid chain, whereas VLDL will be containing maximum amount of free fatty acid. So the more free fatty acid, the less density. So since VLDL has released some free fatty acid, the density has been reduced and the content is known as now IDL, that is intermediate density lipoprotein. Now this intermediate density lipoprotein is converted into LDL, low density lipoprotein. How? So there is again another mechanism. They come in contact with LDL receptor, which is present on the liver, or else they come in contact with this LDL receptor, and through that they are converted into LDL. Now this LDL, yes, Vishal, you have any query?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so we have seen VLDL was released, it got converted into IDL. Now this IDL is getting converted into LDL. Now this LDL is either going back to the liver or to the peripheral tissue. Okay, to the peripheral tissue. How does it enter in the peripheral tissue? So there is this LDL receptor which is present on the membrane of peripheral tissue. Okay, through that receptor, this LDL will enter in the tissue. Now, after entering in the tissue, LDL, what is it doing? It is released. The free fatty acid is utilized from this LDL, and only maximum cholesterol part is remaining. Okay, from the LDL, free fatty acid chains are utilized, metabolized, and maximum cholesterol part have been retained. वो बच गया है, free fatty acid use हो गया. तो ये जो maximum cholesterol containing lipoprotein है, since free fatty acid chain have been removed, the density increases, and now this is the HDL, which is released from peripheral tissue. Okay, free fatty acid use हो गया tissue में, so they more cholesterol is there, cholesterol level, and less free fatty acid. So these are known as HDL. Okay. Now these HDLs, if they are esterified in the blood further, then the density will slightly decrease and it will be converted into HDL2. But अगर वो वापस free fatty acid break हो गया, then it will be back to HDL3. So when we are saying HDL3, that means density is high, it is good. And when we are saying HDL2, that means density is low. So no need to confuse between these. Just understand that HDL is good for body. Why is it good for body? Because इसमें free fatty acid content कम है, cholesterol ज़्यादा है. Okay, that's why this is good for body. Okay, fine. Why, even if this is containing more cholesterol, less free fatty acid, why am I saying that these are good for body? Any guesses?
Ma'am, can you repeat the question?
Okay, let me just summarize this exogenous pathway again and then I'll repeat the question. So, in the liver, chylomicron ke remnants are there, which was containing our cholesterol, free fatty acid, and triglyceride, phospholipid, everything. Okay, so they are getting converted into VLDL, that is very low density lipids, and released in the blood. Now VLDL will go to the tissue. In the tissue, they will be broken down by lipoprotein lipase enzyme into free fatty acid and intermediate density lipoprotein. So the free fatty acid is utilized by the tissue, they are metabolized, and what is happening to IDL? IDL is getting converted into LDL, that is low density lipoprotein. Now LDL is entering, part of this is entering back in the liver, or rest is entering in the peripheral tissue. This entry is through LDL receptor. They actually bind to LDL receptor and then through that they enter in these tissues. Now in the peripheral tissues, when LDL has entered inside the cell, what will happen? They will be again broken down. Fatty acid chain use हो जाएगा उसका LDL का. So majority of content which is remaining in this lipoprotein will be cholesterol. Cholesterol content ज़्यादा हो गया, fatty acid कम हो गया, because that is utilized in the cell for metabolism. So since cholesterol level is high, fatty acid low, density is high. So this is called HDL, which is released from peripheral tissue. Now I am asking, why HDL is good for our body? Why HDL is good for our body?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, HDL, it is a high density lipoprotein, so it is of high density, so it will not remain in the blood for a longer time. Means density. So
Okay. So you are saying it will not remain in the blood for longer time.
And ma'am, HDL is necessary for the building of cell membrane and all structure.
For structural purposes, yes, they are containing cholesterol, so they are important. And yes, someone mentioned that HDLs won't cause atherosclerosis. Okay, since they are containing less fatty acid, more cholesterol, the density is high, and that's why they will not cause atherosclerosis. They will properly flow in the blood. Okay, and they will be transported to the next destination. Whereas you can imagine um, a glass of water in which oil is floating. Okay, and slowly all those oil droplets, they will start accumulating on the side, right? Why? Because they are low density, they are floating, they cannot be transported. They start floating at some region and they start sticking to that region in the blood vessel. So yeah, HDL is flushed out very easily through the liver. They are transported very easily, whereas LDL and VLDL, because density is very low, they cannot be flushed out very easily. They float and they stick to the inner wall of the blood vessel. Also, one more thing, why HDL is good is that since cholesterol levels are high and fatty acid levels are low, generally they act as scavenger for free fatty acids. Okay, जो भी free fatty acid घूम रहा है blood में with low density, वो उसको scavenge करेगा. Okay, it will bind to those free fatty acids. Since they are containing cholesterol, they are capable of binding these free fatty acids and act as scavenger. And we know that free fatty acids are not good for blood vessel, because they will stick and again they will cause atherosclerosis. So this is the mechanism behind why LDL and VLDL is not good for body and why HDL is good for our body.
Ma'am,
LDL, yes,
HDL has high cholesterol and low protein. Right.
low free fatty acid chains.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So high cholesterol, that's why they act as scavenger for free fatty acids. So it will catch all the free fatty acids and protect our blood vessels. And also, since density is high, it will be flushed out very easily. It will be transported very easily. Whereas LDL, VLDL, they cannot be transported. They will float in the blood, stick to the inner wall of the blood vessel and cause atherosclerosis. Okay. So this was all about metabolism of lipids, lipids which are coming from diet and lipoproteins which are synthesized in the liver. Okay, is there any query till now? Because part of this metabolism is still remaining. There is one more factor which I have to mention. Okay, since no query is mentioned. Okay, someone mentioned why free fatty acids are bad for body. They are bad because they are long chain lipids. So since they are lipid, they are not soluble in blood. Okay, they will be as insoluble particle free fatty acids, and their density is generally low. Okay, that's why they will flow and they will stick to inner wall of the blood vessel. And yes, also because someone mentioned they undergo oxidation and they form free radicals. Fatty acid chains generally, since they are acid, right? So a long chain, and you might have studied free radical release, how one of the carbons hydrogen is taken up and then they form free radicals, and these radicals will then increase oxidative stress and all. So just remember that free radicals are not good for body. They will interrupt, they will bind to unnecessarily bind to different components of the body. Okay, so free radicals are not good. Free fatty acids are forming free radicals. That's why free fatty acid is not good, and they have to be scavenged by cholesterol. Is your query answered? Okay. So assuming there is no more query about this metabolism and transportation, I'm going ahead to the next important factor, that is apoprotein. Okay, so if you remember in previous slide I had shown some apoprotein attached to the surface of these lipoproteins, right? So what are these apoproteins and what are their functions? Sorry, before that there is this one more thing. Hepatic cholesterol can be converted to the bile acid. So this I have mentioned just for to complete this loop what we have studied. Uh, all these LDL and everything, remnants, everything is entering in the liver, right? So what is happening to all these lipoproteins in the liver at the end? All these lipoproteins, they contain cholesterol. So these cholesterol are converted into bile acid and bile salts, and then those bile salts will again help in transportation of lipids which are coming through diet. So that's how this is like a cycle. Lipid enter हुआ, लिपोप्रोटीन में कन्वर्ट हुआ, लिवर में गया, लिपोप्रोटीन कोलेस्ट्रॉल से इन द लिवर दे गेट कन्वर्टेड इनटू बाइल सॉल्ट, वो बाइल सॉल्ट वापस जीआईटी में गया to facilitate absorption of further lipids. Okay, so this is how there is a cycle of transportation of cholesterol in different forms. One thing, there is a negative feedback mechanism. Whenever enough lipoproteins are entering in the liver, what will happen? They will inhibit enzyme HMG coenzyme A reductase. Okay. What was role of this HMG coenzyme A reductase? What's the role of HMG coenzyme A reductase?
It reduces HMG to mevalonic acid.
Okay, it helps in conversion from acetyl coenzyme A to mevalonic acid, basically in synthesis of cholesterol, right? This enzyme helps in synthesis of cholesterol in the liver. So when enough lipoprotein is present in the liver, they send a negative message to this enzyme, and that's why further cholesterol synthesis in the body will be inhibited. Okay, endogenous cholesterol synthesis will be inhibited. फूड से आ रहा है, that is fine, but body cholesterol synthesis रोक देगा, thinking that enough cholesterol content is there in the body and liver. Yes, it is the HMG coenzyme A reductase is controlling or doing the rate limiting step in synthesis of cholesterol. Okay, so going ahead to the next important part of this is apoproteins, which are present on the surface of these lipoproteins. Okay, small proteins. Now, chylomicrons के surface पे ApoC2 protein होता है. Whatever I am mentioning now, just remember the names and type of lipoprotein on which they are present. Okay. So ApoC2 protein chylomicron के surface पे होता है. Why is it required? अगर ये नहीं रहेगा तो ये lipase enzyme chylomicron को recognize नहीं कर पाएगा, and it will not be able to break down chylomicron. Okay. With the help of this ApoC protein, C2 protein only, they are getting broken down through lipase. Similarly, remnants के surface पे ApoE protein होता है, which helps in entry of these remnants in the liver. Ideal के surface पे ApoB100 and ApoE protein होता है, which helps in again recognition by lipoprotein lipase.
Ma'am,
हाँ,
ApoE is present over remnants.
remnants, yes.
Okay.
And ApoB100 is again present on LDL surface, which help in recognition by this LDL receptor, which are present on liver and peripheral tissue. Okay. So remember which apoprotein is present on which type of lipoprotein. There are many apoproteins, but these are the most important ones. So I have just mentioned. A few questions. Lipoprotein nomenclature is based on mode of transportation, mode of metabolism, mode of absorption, mode of separation. Few students have mentioned A. Anyone else? Someone mentioned D. Okay, the correct answer is actually D. Mode of separation. So when all these lipids, lipoproteins, they are together in, just imagine they are together in the test tube, and then centrifugation is done or chromatography is done. So based on density, they all will be separated, right? So the they, because basically they are differing with each other based on density. So they will be separated based on density, and that's how they are. Their name is given very low density, low density. So that's why this nomenclature is actually based on separation. The chylomicron remnants which are predominantly cleared from the plasma by liver parenchymal cells via recognition of which apoprotein? Okay, A is the correct answer, ApoE. The uptake of LDL by the cells is mediated by a receptor interaction with the with which of the following apoprotein on LDL? So B, ApoB100 is the correct answer. Yes, this we have discussed. Going ahead, we have done the major part of this.
Ma'am, can you show the previous slide again? Thank you.
So we have done the initial part of the lipids. What are the lipids? How they are, in which form they are present in the body, and how they are synthesized and transported and metabolized. Okay, we have done that. Now we will come to the diseases and management of those diseases. So this part is very simple. You just had to, there was a bit confusion in metabolism only. I hope there is no query in metabolism. So going ahead to disease part, that is hyperlipoproteinemia. These are some levels which are mentioned. Total cholesterol level, LDL cholesterol level, HDL cholesterol level, okay, and triglyceride levels. So what are the levels when we say very high? So if it is LDL is more than 190, it is called LDL levels are very high, which is not good for them, right? So that's how this interpretation has to be done. LDL content is most important one, so you can remember this one. And HDL, if it is more, the content is high, then it is good for body, so it is fine. Okay. Coming to mechanism, how these LDL, how this LDL is causing actually atherosclerosis, or it is bad for our body, which we are discussing since long time. Okay, so here is so here is LDL. What are the options of LDL in the body? उसको क्या क्या हो सकता है? Either वो liver में जाएगा, bile acid और bile salts form करेगा, या फिर वो peripheral tissue में जाएगा, right? There it will be broken down into free fatty acids or converted in other steroid hormones acting as precursor. Now, the third option is they will be oxidized. Okay, they will be oxidized, and after oxidation, they will be broken down into free fatty acids and cholesterol. Okay, they will be broken down into free fatty acids and cholesterol, and because of this free fatty acid, जो free fatty acid release हुआ है, that will be actually eaten up by macrophages. Okay, that will be eaten up by macrophages, and then they will be either there is free fatty acid and cholesterol part, right? So the cholesterol can be either re-esterified, उसका वापस esterification हो सकता है, और fatty acid उसमें attach हो सकता है, and then they will form foam cells. I hope you know what we mean by foam. They are very less in density, right? Their density is very less. So they form foam cells. Now these foam cells, they stick to the arterial intima. Okay, they stick to the arterial intima. This is what we were discussing since long time. So these esterified LDL, they will stick to the blood vessel inner wall, and then they will form fatty streaks, a solid deposition in the inner wall. This is the initial stage of atherosclerotic plaque formation, and slowly that plaque will increase in size and block blood vessel. Okay, so this is how it may cause atherosclerosis. Now coming to cholesterol, which was released from LDL, एक fatty acid part था, एक cholesterol part था, right? So cholesterol part is either re-esterified, वापस उसमें fatty acid बहुत सारा attach हो जाएगा, and they will form foam cells, or else what these cholesterol will do, they will act as scavenger that we had mentioned earlier, right? वो free fatty acids को scavenge करेगा, and they will act as scavenger for free fatty acid, and it will remove all free content, free radicals from the blood. So that's how this will be good for body. Yes, Priya, you have any query?
Hello.
Huh?
Ma'am, I have a doubt. Can
Yes.
level of HDL and LDL both be high at the same time?
It can be. It can be.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So this is the hyperlipoproteinemia consequences. Difference between HDL2 and HDL3. So just remember that HDL3 is containing more cholesterol content and less free fatty acid compared to HDL2. HDL2 में थोड़ा ज़्यादा free fatty acid होता है, तो उसका density HDL3 के compare में थोड़ा कम. So you can say HDL3, after scavenging free fatty acid, they are getting converted into HDL2. Yeah. Now coming to hyperlipoproteinemias, so there are two types, secondary and primary. Secondary means because of some other disease, hyperlipoproteinemia हो रहा है, lipid level बढ़ रहा है body में. Okay, which other diseases? Diabetes, myxedema, nephrotic syndrome, that is kidney conditions, chronic alcoholism, some drug treatment, long-term treatment, all these may lead to hyperlipoproteinemia. Primary due to genetic defect. Okay. Now the genetic defect can be either single gene defect or multiple gene defect. So based on this classification, there are these 6 types of primary hyperlipoproteinemia. You can remember the names only and which lipid is increased in this condition. Okay, like first one is familial lipoprotein lipase deficiency. In this, the lipase enzyme is less. There is deficiency because of genetic condition. Where it is written G, that means single gene defect, and MF, that is multifactorial. So multiple gene defect is there, and then this condition. So familial lipoprotein lipase deficiency, in this what is happening? Elevated plasma chylomicron is there. Okay, both cholesterol and triglyceride levels will be high. So this is how you just need to remember which lipoprotein is high in which type of hyperlipoprotein. This is the important thing in this table. Okay, so these are the types of hyperlipoproteinemia. Coming to treatment, these are the 4 treatment options. Actually, there are 5. One, fibrate is missing here. Fibrate class is also there. which in short we will discuss what are the mechanisms, how do they show their benefits in hyperlipoprotein. Okay, so first class is HMG reductase inhibitors. The drugs are statins. All these drugs are there. Now, what is the mechanism? I hope you remember the HMG coenzyme A reductase enzyme, right? Here, this is the enzyme which was helping in conversion of acetyl coenzyme A to cholesterol. So this is the synthesizing enzyme for cholesterol. And that's why by blocking this enzyme, what we will do, we will reduce cholesterol synthesis, and overall the chylomicrons and all those lipoprotein synthesis will be reduced by this class of drug. So statins, they are used for prevention of myocardial infarction. I hope you remember, whenever the plaque is there in the coronary artery, there will be less blood supply to the heart wall, and that is called myocardial infarction, right? So that will be prevented by statins. It is used to target treatment to those at greatest risk. Please note that this is something which is like किसी को बहुत ज़्यादा risk है, बहुत ज़्यादा hyperlipoproteinemia है, then this will be preferred, this class of drug. Atorvastatin, they okay, someone asked me, if we reduce cholesterol synthesis, then less HDL will be formed. Yes, HDL will be formed less, but along with that, VLDL and LDL synthesis will be also less. Okay. Overall, all the lipoprotein synthesis will be less. Okay. So atorvastatin is something which is preferred in familial hypercholesterolemia. Okay, HDL is essential. Please understand that HDL is essential as a scavenger, right? It is good for body. But right now, if cholesterol synthesis is happening, it will cause problem because it is also causing synthesis of VLDL and LDL. अभी हमारा मेन टारगेट ये होना चाहिए कि हम कैसे LDL और VLDL synthesis stop करें, so that plaque formation will stop or reduce. Okay, that is the major, most important thing to think about right now. HDL is good, definitely good, but वो scavenging process कोई और molecule body में कर लेगा. Right now, inhibition of synthesis of VLDL is more important than synthesis of HDL. In severe drug-resistant dyslipidemia, this is one important thing to remember. Okay, severe drug resistance होता है जब बाकी drugs काम नहीं कर रहे हैं hyperlipoproteinemia treatment में. At that time, ezetimibe is another class of drug which is given in combination with statin. Okay, so this combination is preferred. All the statins, they are contraindicated in pregnancy. Second class is bile acid sequestrants. So as the name suggests, sequestrants, they will sequester, they will bind to the bile acid. Okay, these are the drugs. I won't say drug, they are also known as resins. Okay, cholestyramine, cholestyramine, and cholecalciferol. So all these three, they are the bile acid binding resins. They bind to the bile acid, and that's how they will reduce absorption of lipid in the blood. Okay, since bile भी कम है available, free नहीं है lipid transportation के लिए, lipid will not enter in the blood circulation and absorption is reduced. So this is the mechanism. Under normal circumstances, approximately 97% of bile acids are reabsorbed in the enterohepatic circulation. I hope you remember how from the liver the bile from GIT, the bile again goes to the liver and then helps in this transportation, lipid transportation. But these drugs, they will bind to the bile acid and they will excrete bile acid from the body. वो body से निकाल देंगे bile acid. As a result, decreased concentration of bile is available for lipid absorption. This low level of bile acid, they also remove feedback inhibition on 7-alpha hydroxylase enzyme in the liver, and that's why less cholesterol will be synthesized. Okay, coming to next class of drug, that is cholesterol absorption inhibitor. Just now I mentioned along with statins, ezetimibe drug can be given. Okay, so it has a very simple mechanism. It binds to the intestinal mucosa. Okay, it binds to the intestinal mucosa and there it inhibits absorption of cholesterol. Okay, so cholesterol will not be absorbed in the body. The levels will be low in the blood. Lipoprotein levels will be low in the blood. So that's how cholesterol absorption inhibitor. The drug is ezetimibe, which is given generally when other drugs are not active. So we have covered statins. They are HMG coenzyme A inhibitors. We have covered second class of drug, that is bile acid sequestrants. So they bind, they are also known as resins. They bind to the bile acid, and that's why absorption of lipid from GIT to the circulation will be less. So lipid level in the blood will be less. Cholesterol absorption inhibitor, that is ezetimibe. So again, absorption is less, so cholesterol level in the blood will be less. Lipoprotein synthesis will be less. Ezetimibe can be given in combination with statins. Okay, everyone is mentioning statins. This is something what I had already mentioned in previous slide. I just want to mention here why it cannot be given with fibrate and other these drugs. Okay, so this is the reason. Along with when it is given with bile acid sequestrants, its bioavailability decreases. Ezetimibe का bioavailability कम हो जाएगा. When it is given with cyclosporin, इसका bioavailability बढ़ जाएगा. Normal जितना होना चाहिए उससे ज़्यादा concentration हो जाएगा. It may cause toxicity. And when it is given along with fibrates, again the concentration will be increased. So these are the reasons. These drugs affect the absorption or concentration of ezetimibe in the blood. That's why it can be given only with statins. So we have done statins, we have done resins, we have done cholesterol absorption inhibitors. Now we are coming to fibrates. So what are these fibrates? There are many drugs in fibrates, slow fibrates, fenofibrates, such fibrates are there. Now what is the mechanism? So these fibrates, they generally enter in the cell nucleus. Okay, in the nucleus there is something called PPAR. What is PPAR? Peroxide. Rashmita has raised her hand. You have any query?
No, ma'am, it was done.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, fibrates, they bind to this PPAR enzyme in the nucleus of the cell. Now, after binding this enzyme, what is happening? They are actually reducing cholesterol synthesis. So in the hepatocyte, okay, fibrate, its mechanism actually is not clear, but this is the most simplest thing that I found and I'm explaining here, that fibrates, they generally enter in the hepatocyte. In the nucleus, there is some enzyme called PPAR, that is peroxide. Just a So fibrate, it is inhibiting the activating this PPAR enzyme alpha, and through this activation, it is increasing LDL particle size. It is showing various mechanism effects. It is decreasing triglyceride synthesis, increasing LDL particle size, and increasing HDL synthesis, increasing reverse cholesterol transport, and reducing inflammation. So there are various effects. Overall, it reduces lipoprotein content in synthesis by inhibiting PPAR enzyme. This is one thing that you need to remember about fibrates. Okay, fibrates, they are blocking PPAR enzyme, activating PPAR enzyme, and that's how they will lower lipoprotein in the blood. So this is the summary of all the drugs acting on lipoprotein synthesis. We know that statins, they inhibit HMG coenzyme A reductase, that is synthesis is inhibited. Resins absorption inhibit करेगा lipoprotein का. Similarly, ezetimibe, which is again cholesterol absorption inhibitor. Then fibrates, they will act on the in the nucleus of the cell on PPAR enzyme. Okay, so they will block that PPAR, activate that PPAR enzyme, and increase activation of lipoprotein lipase enzyme. So breakdown of all these lipoproteins will be there. All these lipoproteins will be utilized in the cells. That's how this will work. Okay, before going to just one or two MCQs are remaining, is everything clear? All the treatment options for hyperlipoproteinemia? Okay. So, few students mentioned that it is clear, so I'm just asking these last MCQs. Which of the following drug will be preferred in patients with dyslipidemia and gout? Someone mentioned fenofibrate C. Anyone else? Someone mentioned B. Someone mentioned D. B. Okay, so mixed answers are coming. Why the answer is actually fenofibrate. And why the answer is fenofibrate? Because the patient is not having only dyslipidemia, but also gout, in which uric acid levels are high. And it has been observed that fenofibrate is uricosuric. What do we mean by uricosuric? They increase excretion of uric acid from body. Okay, और gout में क्या होता है? Uric acid level बढ़ जाता है blood. So when fenofibrate is given for treatment of dyslipidemia, वो dyslipidemia तो treat कर ही रहा है, plus वो uric acid excretion भी increase कर रहा है. उसके वजह से जो hyperuricemia है, high level of uric acid in the blood, वो normal हो जाएगा. So this will show double effect, beneficial effect. And that's why this will be preferred in this patient. Okay, one more thing. What we mean by dyslipidemia? Does it mean lipid is less? Does it mean lipid is less in the blood or high in the blood?
It can be less or it can be more.
No, dyslipidemia also means high. Okay, increased lipoprotein levels in the blood. Okay, so this completes the whole topic. We have covered the types of lipids, and we have covered the types of lipids and how they are arranged. What is the in what structure, in what form. After that, we had seen how they are. There are different types of these structures, lipoprotein structures, and how these all different types are synthesized or transported in the blood or in the body. Okay, this one is very important in this whole topic. After that, we had seen uh, different types of hyperlipoproteinemias, uh, and what is the consequence, problem क्या होती है hyperlipoproteinemia की वजह से. LDL is not good for blood vessel and HDL is good because they act as scavengers. Then different types of hyperlipoproteinemias and their treatment options. So HMG coenzyme A reductase inhibitor, bile acid sequestrant, cholesterol absorption inhibitor, fibrates, nicotinic acid is also given, niacin. Which vitamin is this? Niacin is which vitamin?
B3.
Yeah, please remember they can ask like opposite, I mean in this form also. Can vitamin B3 be given for hyperlipoproteinemia treatment? So yes, they are converted into nicotinamide in the body and then they inhibit synthesis of VLDL. So this all these treatment options we have discussed. For most of the treatment options, I have mentioned important points like about these drugs like fenofibrates. They can be given in as uricosuric also. Then how ezetimibe uh, can be given in combination with statins. All these important points we have discussed, and this completes the whole topic. So before disconnecting, any query in the whole topic? Any query? Okay. Assuming there is no query, if you all have any queries, you can post in the. Someone asked me that is this enough for GPAT preparation? No, see, this is all about the basics. Okay, whatever everything we have uh, studied, these are the basics. I have tried to incorporate most of the points, but still there are many more points which you will be getting in the book. Okay, whatever I have discussed, that was required for your understanding. That will help in your understanding the whole concept and or the effect. Okay, now after referring this whole PPT, whatever we have discussed today, if now you definitely need to read the books also. Okay, I have referred Tripathi, Rangendale, and Ford. In the FOIL, definitely it's medicinal chemistry, but lot of pharmacological part is also mentioned in FOIL. Okay, that is very simple language, it to the point. So that also can be referred, and many such statements are there which will be helpful for solving MCQ. So these books are which book to refer? That's what I'm saying. Rangendale, Tripathi, and this poet. You can refer for this chapter. Okay. So, assuming there is no query, I guess we can disconnect. Thank you so much, everyone.